Ready, go.
Dan Gryder, probable cause. It is September 28, 2025, Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, just like it used to be in the good old days. You know, I did those Sunday night videos for almost 3 years, every single Sunday night, and didn't miss a beat. Several things have changed here in recent months, and I'll get into a little bit of that and talk about that and give you some reasons and explanations. I hope you'll empathize with the situation when I fully explain all of that. For now, I'm glad to see you in here. If you're in the chat room, the live chat, that's always a lot of fun. You know, in the heyday of the Sunday night videos, we had 2,500 or 3,000 people in the chat room all at the same time. A tremendous amount of fun. I totally enjoyed that. So if you're in there right now, I'm in here with you in the live chat. Say hi, put your mouse up there and type something out. Maybe tell me where you're checking in from or where you live, that kind of thing. It's Sunday night, just like we used to do it. A little bit different tonight. I got a little bit of an update to make and a few things to tell you about. Not so good news on a couple of different fronts here, but we're going to get into that. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you being here. I have been off for a few weeks from YouTube with very good reason. I'll get into that as we go. For the time being, welcome. It's Sunday night. I'm going to try to do a video every now and then when able. Two main reasons for my little hiatus from YouTube. One of them has to do with the health of my father, James Gryder, who declined starting in late June, early July. His health started to decline. He finally died this week at 96 and a half. He just crossed over the threshold, 96 and a half. I took extraordinary effort to be there and travel to his location and be with him as much as possible, shoot video and document his story, because I know that once he's gone, I can't get it back. 96 and a half, and he just died Wednesday this week. Born in 1929, right into the Great Depression. He was one of the oldest of 8 kids, and his dad died when he was very young, left him to raise all those kids on a farm in North Carolina, and that's the way it was, and he did it. My dad suffered through, raised those kids, helped everything. He ran the family farm. The U.S. Army wanted him for 2 tours of duty, and he turned in the paperwork for family hardship deferment and got 2 of those, got deferred twice for U.S. Army until the youngest kid was in high school and stable and things were a little bit better. And then the U.S. Army called for the 3rd time, and he went and did his tour of duty in the U.S. Army as an infantryman, and that's where he met my mom in Colorado. But he did his boot camp in South Carolina, then in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and then he was stationed in Fort whatever it is in Colorado Springs there. Can't even think of it right now, but Colorado Springs, that's where he met my mom. And from there, it's history. My dad was a teacher. I'll not dwell on this long, but it was a profound loss. My dad was significant. If you ever wondered why Dan is the way he is, it's because of my dad. The nut did not fall far from the tree. In this case, my father, James Gryder. Between the two of us, we have this in common. Neither one of us have very much money, and we're both very principled. We don't really care about money. Remember, there's 2 things in life. There's love and money. This is a love thing and not a money thing. YouTube, for me, has never been a money thing. Never will be. I'm not going to advertise. I'm not going to do sponsorships. And I'm not going to trade my integrity for trying to sell clicks and views for money. I'm not doing it. My father, as he progressed, he became a teacher. His very first year of teaching 7th grade math, he did it without a teaching credential or a college degree of any kind. His degree was in history. He became a math teacher, and he went on and finished his career as a 7th and 8th grade math teacher, for which we're all very proud. Me and my 2 other siblings all grew up in Sterling, Illinois, and this week we had to say goodbye to my dad. I want you to know that my dad was a special guy, and he started every meal with a prayer. I got to be there in hospice with my dad towards the very, very end. And although I didn't have a guitar with me, I took a couple guitars that were hanging around the center, pieced them together enough to build a song. I played one more song for my dad, at the last opportunity while he was still alive. I'm not exactly sure if he could hear me or not. I kind of think that he could, but I built a guitar, I altered some stuff and came up with a guitar, shot one quick video. It's a very short video, but this is just before my dad died, and I want you to know that he started every meal with a prayer, always did. Every meal we ever sat down, we sat down together, and the meal started with a prayer. Here's what this video looks like. It's only 2 minutes long. This is my last song with my dad.
And let's give thanks. Father, we give you thanks for your blessings, for strength and direction, for the day you've given us. Thank you now for this time of fellowship and food. Pray you bless it. Give us your direction in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday.
That was one of my dad's favorite songs, The Old Rugged Cross. I took the video footage, the GoPro, and brought it back here, added a couple tracks on top to try to make it a little bit better. And that was my dad's send-off to heaven, The Old Rugged Cross. Now that brings us to tonight. Once again, thank you for showing up, being here with us this evening on Sunday night. The other reason that I've been a little bit of a hiatus is because I got another nasty gram from EAA. I'll show it to you. It's right here. But here's the deal. I wrote a letter to EAA and FAA, a very nice cordial letter outlining what's wrong and what's illegal and what you can't do, and cited all the things that are improper at AirVenture that are unsafe and illegal, and I put it in writing and sent it to them, certified letter via email, certified return receipt to FAA and EAA well in advance of AirVenture. Well, apparently they didn't like it. I also made a video that's still on the air. It's the one previous to this that outlines some of the problems with the FISC arrival, and specifically FAR 91-129 that says that you have to make contact with the control tower before you go in there. Your NOTAM doesn't give you any waiver. A waiver and a NOTAM are two separate things. Well, after I got back from doing all that, I get this letter from EAA Legal. Their attorney at EAA sends me a certified letter and says, Dan, shut up and don't make any more videos. Gave me the allegations that he didn't like and said, we're going to sue you. If you don't shut up and if you make any more videos, we're going to sue you. So his instructions were not very clear. Just like Juan Brown got a letter from attorney recently, here's Juan's response to his.
On the 23rd of May, I received this letter from some high-power attorneys in Hollywood, California, addressed to Thomas Juan Brown, without an E, the Aviation Safety Network, the Service of Flight Safety Foundation, neither of which I represent nor do I work with. I am Thomas Juan Brown of the Blanco Lirio channel. and I was given 3 weeks to respond to this letter.
So basically, I get this letter from EAA. It dovetails in with the rest of my life. I'm doing a lot of flying, a lot of traveling, a lot of airplanes, and I got to be with my dad. I don't really have time to make videos anyway, but I did take the time to type out a very cordial, professionally written response to EAA and said, let's talk about this. Let's work together. If there's anything that I got wrong in my video, please respond in writing and let me know. I'll be glad to make an alteration, apology, correction, update. I'll be glad to do something if that's what you want. I sent that letter. It's now been almost 2 months since I returned correspondence to EAA with their allegation that they don't want me to make any more videos about EAA or the arrival or Fisk or AirVenture. They sent me that letter. Now, no response from EAA. All the allegations that I put in here, I said, let's just get this out in the open. I even addressed the issue of Jack Pelton and his credentials, whatever they are. If Jack has got good credentials and they're all legitimate, I think that's great. Just send them to me so we can see them. If you go on the internet and take a look around, there was a little bit of a hiccup when Jack left Cessna over his credentials, his college degree and his master's degree and all that stuff. It's still not clear to me. I just said, let's clear it up. Why don't you send me the credentials so that we can all see it? No response for that. Most specifically in my reply, I said, everything that's happening that I see is unsafe. It's illegal. You don't have waivers in place to be doing what you could do. It is possible to obtain the waivers. As of yet, I don't see the waivers in place for doing what you're doing. And keep in mind, the Fisk arrival into AirVenture evolved from a long time ago when we didn't even have Mode C. A lot of no radio airplanes, single file at 1,000 feet, nose to tail, and go in there, rock your wings, and land on a dot. I'm going to read this to you here. I'll put it up on the screen right now, but this is my final conclusion to EAA when I sent him a letter back. And here's what I said in my conclusion. I said, in my opinion, the future success and financial viability of this annual fly-in is directly related to the ability of the private flyer to fly in and to feel safe about doing so. There is simply no longer any need for the dangerous and archaic single point of entry, single stream, rock your wings and land on a dot, unstable approach, reduced runway separation standard methods. There is no reason to continue to allow unsafe and illegal, unregulated air operations inside the fun fly zone. The technology and methods exist today to increase total landings per day and eliminate accidents and incidents almost entirely. I restate my offer to work together with you to address these important issues going forward. I would consider endorsing and promoting your fly-in only after new and enhanced changes are effected by both EAA and FAA, and after FAA commits to upholding of minimum safety standards and proper enforcement of egregious violations of FAA rules were warranted. Well, so far, not a single reply. So that's been part of the reason I've been off. I've been standing by, waiting to make another video to give EAA 8 weeks to reply. No reply to either of my letters whatsoever. And that is the way I believe a lot of corporations and individuals in America operate. They just want to hire a lawyer and send you a letter and try to get you to shut up. That's called lawfare. You know, there's warfare, then there's lawfare. That's the thing that Juan Brown ended up dealing with on his. In my case, I didn't really say anything that's not my personal opinion that's completely unsafe, and I wrote very kind, carefully worded, professional letters to say, let's talk about this and let's get this out in the open, and maybe there's something that we can work out here. So that's the reason. Let's continue on tonight. I got several topics to talk about, the first of which is the conference coming up. I got some exciting news. Let's get into all of that. Welcome. You know, in the whole EAA AirVenture process this year, there was quite a few accident incidents. Fortunately, no deaths. One of them involved a very close and dear personal friend of mine, CJ. She works with the Comanche Society, Comanche's single-engine, twin-engine Comanches. Ironically, she knew my story from several years ago where I got banned from EAA because I flew in, landed on the taxiway, and the marshalers were telling me to continue on in my DC-3 when I knew it wasn't safe and it was too close. I stopped my DC-3 and I shut down. The AeroShell T6 team was parked up on the taxiway right there parallel to 1836. I looked at it and said it's way too close. Turns out it was too close. If I had continued, I would have hit an AeroShell T6. I used my own pilot's discretion and I stopped and shut down engines in abundance of caution, let's get out and take a look at this. That's what EAA is upset about. Dan didn't follow instructions to continue taxiing when the marshaller was telling him to go straight ahead. My friend CJ is very well aware of this story. She didn't want to get banned this year when she flew in. She's in her Comanche. She's taxiing in. She's following an EAA marshaller going right down the middle. She has eye contact with the marshaller. She's in the middle. Her airplane touches two airplanes at approximately the same time. There's damage to all three airplanes almost identically. Turns out the lanes are supposed to be 70 feet apart. EAA made a mistake. They're only 64 feet apart, kind of shaped like a trapezoid. But the EAA marshaller was telling her to go ahead. She did not want to get banned from EAA for not following a marshaller instruction, so she proceeded very slowly. Couldn't see exactly how close her wingtips are. If you think about it, sitting in the cockpit, you can't see laterally the distance because whatever that space is covered up by your wing. You can't tell if you're clearing by a half an inch or 3 inch because you can't see it. If the marshaller tells you continue on, keep on coming, that's what she did. She was no longer the pilot in command in that situation. The marshaller was egging her on to continue on. Turns out the lane was too small. The marshaller didn't know it. She didn't know it. There's damage. There's a whole bunch of airplane accidents, incidents, and wouldn't you know, each one of these are now involved in either litigation, insurance problems, increased insurance stuff, damaged propellers, damaged landing gears, damaged things, all the things that happen because of improper spacing, improper marshalling. Those are the things that need to get fixed. CJ is very reluctant to talk about this on camera, but that is the truth. You know her. We all love her. She is not a bad pilot. Yes, she's a woman. She's a great pilot. She does everything by the book. She has flown in there. She has tons of experience. Her main fear was getting banned from Oshkosh for not following a marshaller instruction to continue straight ahead when he was telling her to continue straight ahead. Let's press on here. I got a story about a C-130. I'm going to cut to the video. This is from that accident back in 1992. The C-130 does a go-around. It's a military Air Force C-130, and he does a go-around. You probably recognize this accident from February of 1992. The C-130 did a go-around. It's a messed up go-around. He stalled in the go-around, crashed into a Howard Johnson's in a restaurant. I was up there. I went to the site. I looked at the whole thing, and it became my quest to find the only remaining survivor that was in the restaurant when the C-130 hit it, and I found him. The profound thing off of this is that even after this fact, everybody I talked to up in this town concerning the C-130 accident, nobody to this day has any idea what caused the accident. Nobody, including this survivor. Let's listen to this interview. Down here in Evansville, Indiana today with my friend Brian. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I appreciate you taking the time to meet. You were in the restaurant that got destroyed. What was the date? February of 92.
Yep, February 6th.
February 6th of 1992. It's a C-130 that crashed. Obviously, everybody on board the C-130 died, and then lots of people in the restaurant. You were an actual survivor. You actually made it out of this thing alive, and you were one of, what, very few that made it out alive?
Yeah, that's correct. I don't know how many patrons there were, but there were, I think, 7 workers that got out.
Yeah.
But there was 2 that weren't as fortunate.
Yeah. From memory, I'm thinking a total of about 17 on the ground got killed. Is that about right?
Okay, that sounds right. I'm not sure the exact number
Yeah.
of the hotel.
Yeah. I guess my question is, Brian, I've looked at this accident over the years. This happened in 1992. I was flying in 92 in the area. I actually saw the smoke from this that was still burning the next day. And I've been here several times, but I've always wondered what truly happened here. And I wondered, basically, this is 1992. Has anybody ever come to you and explained to you what happened and what caused this horrific crash, all this loss of life? Did they ever conclude that for you?
No. For the longest time, I just heard pilot error, and anytime they run a special on it, media that is,
Yeah.
there's nothing that's ever explained on why it happened. They would just go back and rehash what happened, actually, the crash itself, but
Yeah.
but not why.
I'd like to tell you what happened.
Okay.
This is a messed up go-around. This crew had been doing touch and goes. Kentucky Air National Guard, they had been doing touch and goes, and this airplane at about 12 or 1300 feet AGL, approaching to the northeast from the southwest to the northeast. They did a go-around. They raised the nose too high and the airplane stalled, which means it quit flying. It was a messed up go-around. The same problem we're having in general aviation today. Our pilots are not equipped and capable of doing go-arounds. We are still dying from go-arounds, and the thing that caused this crash in February of '92 was clearly a messed up go-around. That's all it was.
And what's the reason that that's never been disclosed?
I don't know the reason that it's not common knowledge. I'm more centered on the reason that the faulty go-around continues to happen today. Our government is very, very poor about disseminating information about what the true cause of the accident really was. That's historically accurate still today. They just don't want to give you the information on what truly happened. That's why I try to get to these locations and film some of these kind of things to explain what the true cause of this happened. But I'm thrilled that you're alive and you made it out of it. And I just want to say thanks for taking the time to visit, and our respects to your friends that were lost in that accident that day, and everyone else, the loss here in Evansville, Indiana. I just want to say thanks for visiting.
You got it. Good meeting you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Isn't that interesting? That's one of the topics we're going to be talking about at our first annual DTSB General Aviation Safety Summit. It's January 2, 3, 4 in Orlando. I'll put the graphic up on the screen here. We have two prices right now. We're still in early bird. It's $11.95 for the 3-day conference. That includes everything. That includes your hotel room, food, alcohol, the conference, the educational content, entertainment, music, the entire thing. You're self-contained there. You checked in. You don't have to go anywhere. It's a very nice pool resort complex. Bring the family. $11.95 gets you in the door to everything, including your meals, the whole thing. That is our cost. That's our first convention. If you'd like to attend that, send an email for an information packet on how to do that. That's DTSB. We're a 501c3. This is our first conference. All we have to have is 72 participants to fill it up, and that's our break-even point. And we are now almost at 72, and we're definitely going to fill it up. We haven't even published any brochures or schedules or anything, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the topics that are on slate to be discussed and handled at our DTSB educational content. First of all, it's going to be fun, and I got a real big surprise on who's going to be there for our Saturday night keynote speaker, which is really cool. Before I do that, let me go over the list here of what's going to be on this thing. I'll put them on the screen here for you. This is medical information on how pilots can better prepare themselves for flying past 60, 65, and 70. Medical information on vitamins, health care, best ways to do things, tax, your tax available for like things like angel flights and tax deductions and how to fly more and get a tax deduction. Brasher. I'm going to talk a little bit about Brasher. I've got a Brasher. We all know what a Brasher is. If you hear these words on the radio, that you want, they want you to, possible pilot deviation, we want you to copy this number. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, I'm going to let you listen to one here. When they tell you possible pilot deviation, please copy this number. They didn't tell you to call the number. They just said write it down. Legally, you're under no obligation to call that number whatsoever. Depending on what you did, how you want to handle it, I'm not telling you not to call it. I'm just saying that you don't have to. Let's listen to one, and let's specifically listen to the wording. It's standardized nationwide. Here's the wording for a Brasher.
Also, pilot deviation advisory, copy ASO number.
I've also got some exclusive information on basic med medicals, how to get a medical, how to keep it, basic med, converting over to basic med, what it means and how to do it, and what the entire process is. Also, we've got a complete huge session on going dark. Your aircraft registration, there's a new program in the FAA for privacy. You can block your IN number, your registration. You can do all that stuff. You can have an anonymous LLC. You can make your aircraft impossible to find, impossible to track, and it's all legal, and I recommend it. There's no way they can send you a landing fee from that ridiculous website. If they can't find you and you got an anonymous LLC and they can't track your IN number, it's impossible. I've already done it on 2 airplanes. It's working great. I'm going to give a complete, full, detailed information on how to do that at this conference down here labeled Going Dark. We'll also go over the 2025 accidents, all the summary. By the time we get to this conference, 2025 will be wrapped up. We're trying to keep the year under 144 accidents. Right now, we're just a little over 100, so we got a little bit of space. We've got about 30 that we could still fit and still make our 144 for the year. That would put us at 12.0 for the year. Are we going to make it? I don't know if we are or not. We got to slow down and do some better things and do things right here towards the end of the year. No more than 10 per month would put us at 144, which is 12 per month. I'll see if that is going to happen or not. The next one we got here is best practices, things for sure to do in your airplane, things for sure not to do. Best policies, best practices. Top 5 killers, the AQP top 5 killers for the year. The awards go to the top 5 categories of things that killed pilots in the aircraft this year. Last but not least, who is going to be there? Who's going to be our keynote speaker? As you know, I've done an extensive amount of work on investigative style stuff. One of my favorite video series is the DB Cooper series. At this conference, for the first time ever, never been done before, never seen in public, and never spoken in public, is DB Cooper's 2 children, Richard and Shantae, will be with me live on stage with us for dinner Saturday night. They're the keynote speakers. We're going to be there, and you'll get to meet them, shake hands with them, and meet them in person. That's DB Cooper's 2 children. That's Richard Floyd McCoy's 2 children, Richard and Shantae, are going to be there, all included in your ticket price. No, DB Cooper is not related to aviation or aviation safety. It's entertaining. We're going to have music, live music, a whole bunch of fun. The music package that we got put together here is going to be outstanding, and you're going to love it. But I want you to meet DB Cooper's 2 children in person. This will probably be your only time in history that I know of where you can be in the same room, shake hands with, and be around DB Cooper's 2 kids. Isn't that fun? Let's go on to the next one. You know, one of the most tragic accidents and heartbreaking accidents of the year was the T6 accident from Oshkosh a few years ago. Devin Riley, the final report just came out on that. I cannot believe what was found in that and what was found in Devin's logbook. Private pilot, very low time in a T6. Her checkout was almost nothing. The only checkout of any record is indicated by her husband, Hunter, who is not a CFI, and it says checkout by Hunter. Here's Blanco's summary of the T6 accident. There was almost no training or check route involved in this. No wonder that T6 will stall. It's a widowmaker. It's a killer airplane. You have to fly that, know what you're doing, and keep this thing going. Here's Blanco's video and his summary of the T6 accident.
Now, what do you think is going to happen if you never got that training in the first place? Nowhere in this young lady's logbook do I see any indication of any professional spin training or advanced maneuvers training in the AT6 that could have prevented this accident.
Listen again. Here's his summary of the endorsement by Hunter.
This second logbook starts at 316 hours of total time and includes flying time in aircraft like the BT-13, Basic Trainer 13 aircraft, and other tail draggers like the 7AC Champ. After an extensive amount of BT-13 flying, we see the first entry for the T-6D aircraft in September of 2022. Looks like a cross-country flight to Midland, Texas, and then a local flight, logged as PIC time. And if we roll forward to May of 2023, we see the AT6 checkout logbook entry just 2 months before the fatal accident. T6 checkout flight with Hunter 1.0. T6 checkout flight with Hunter 1.0. And that's it for training.
You know, I just got back from Martha's Vineyard. up near Boston. It's an island out there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. The Chappaquiddick story, Ted Kennedy from 1969, July of 1969, has always been of interest. This time I had a chance to go up there and go around and take a look at it. I got a couple video clips that I'm going to show you here. One is from the bridge. This is the actual bridge where Mary Jo died. Here's the bridge, and I was there. Well, I finally made it to the spot. This is the spot where Mary Jo died. This is the bridge. Ted came racing down this road right here. It's a dirt road, sand road. Got to this spot. These railings have been improved in later years. They were not that beefy and not that tall at the time. He went over the edge of this. The car went nose first into the water, flipped upside down on this heading, so that when they found the car, the nose was faced this way, but the car was upside down. Ironically, all the doors are closed, all the windows are up, and Ted gets out, but she's trapped inside. How is that possible? The real tragedy here is that after all this, everything that the Kennedys did to Mary Jo and what happened that night, the only thing that Mary Jo gets left, this is a crying shame. Here's the one plaque that I've been able to find. Rest in peace, Mary Jo. That's all it said. Probably placed here by a citizen. No plaque, no memorial, no roses, no nothing here. Mary Jo gets killed by the Kennedys for this entire thing. And this is all that the Chappaquiddick family ends up with. One little cheesy plaque mounted to this thing after all of this time. This is the spot. Here's another short clip from Chappaquiddick, the island, and the whole story. I think I figured out what happened here. This is the cottage where they were at. This is the house. This is the location. This extra section of house right here has been added on to after the fact. This original cottage is where the party happened. 6 married men with 6 single women in here for the evening out on Chappaquiddick. It's secluded for a purpose. This fence wasn't here when Ted Kennedy came running up the road trying to get back here, get back to the house after the accident or whatever happened. The car's in the water upside down. Mary Jo was still inside of it, and he goes back here. All these conversations occurred in the yard right here. That's when he had his conversations with them about what they should do. Let's get their story together. Everything that's happened after that was preconceived, figured out, calculated, but there was conversations about what to do about this next. This is where it happened. This is the cottage from 1969 where all that started right here. 6 married men with 6 single women that evening. I'm not sure what else might have been going on there at that cottage, but I'm going to do a massive documentary style video. I got a couple more trips to make to go back to Chappaquiddick and shoot video and tell this story. To me, this story is every bit as fascinating and mind-blowing as the D.B. Cooper story. It's still a mystery. It is still a mystery as to what actually happened, and I believe I have totally figured out the motive, the reason, the method, everything that happened, and why it happened, so it all makes sense. I can tell you what happened, and I'm going to make a video and give you my personal opinion on what exactly happened that night and why it happened. It's a fascinating story. That's all I got for tonight. This video is kind of dedicated to the life and memory of my dad, a teacher. I became a teacher because of my dad. I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is from a paper that he wrote in the late 50s, early 60s. I'll read it to you here. My basic teaching approach is the discovery method as proposed by leading educators of the decades of the 60s. My general purpose then is to put the student into a problem-solving situation as often as possible and to the greatest degree possible. It's a problem-solving situation, which to me is a scenario. It's a scenario that you create and you put them in there as often as possible and to the greatest degree possible. That is AQP. My dad was actually doing AQP with math students in the late 50s. I didn't invent it. I think this is a huge educational concept. The scenario-based problem-solving, rehearse, condition, get your students to where they can recognize what the problem is and their problem-solving skills, their reactions, the ways to do this applies to math and flying airplanes. I want you to stay alive in your airplane out there. It's not worth dying over. AQP, our general aviation fatal accident rate, is on the mend. It's doing better. We still have a long ways to go. I appreciate your support. If you'd like to send any support via electronically, I appreciate that. Zelle, PayPal, CashAPP, Venmo. $1 or $2 helps a lot. I haven't made any videos for a long time. Basically, nobody sends any money in anyway, so it's all good. I appreciate it. My videos aren't for money or anything like that, but if you'd like to send in $1 or $2 as a contribution, that would certainly be great. I'm going to get out here and get this video up and on the air. Thank you for stopping in here this evening. It's good to see all you guys, and especially some of you knuckleheads in the chat room that go crazy with all the stuff. I totally love it. It's been great. I'll try to get a few more videos up and on the line as soon as I can. For my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, DanGryder, Probable Cause.
Well, some that morning when the life is long, I fly away to the home on God's blessed shore. I fly away. Well, I fly away, oh glory, I fly away. When I die, hallelujah, Well, just a few more